All right, welcome in everybody. This is Chris Landry, and this is Big Ten football and beyond. And we're excited to be with you as always. 2 hours of back-to-back talk here, as we've got Big Ten football and beyond here for the next hour. I'm going to break down everything inside the league. Next hour, we're going to go ACC football and beyond. And you know the drill by now, as we are. Can you believe it? Technically, are we a quarter of the season through? Kind of, sort of, almost. We're getting there. We've got a lot to get to. Some news and notes around the league. We've got certainly recapping of some good games, some not so good games. We got breakdowns of all the games, obviously game by game, and then hand out some game balls for this week. A look ahead to this week's schedule, and of course, as we always like to do, take your feedback and questions inside the chat room. We want your involvement. We want your questions. We want your anything you want. We are really excited. And we got a great special offer to talk to you about with our friends at BetDSI. So much to get to today. Who's the best looking team? Who's the best team in the Big Ten right now? It was a foregone conclusion at the start of the season. No doubt about that at the start of the season. Oh, but there's your question right now. Who's the best team in the Big Ten right now? Not who's the most talented. Who looks the best right now? Let's see. Let's take that under consideration. We'll get into that and much more. So we want to remind you of a couple of things. Film room breakdowns is what we're all about. And we're going to get into what happened around the league, go through all the games, but what we want to get you to understand is that over at LandryFootball.com, we've got the complete breakdowns of all the teams in all the leagues. We've got it in the NFL for you as well, and that's what we do in the early part of the week. So the detail that you're going to want, you can get at LandryFootball.com. Take advantage of the football season offer today. Folks, it's less than $10 a month. It's even cheaper than that if you take advantage of the football season sale. So check it all out. You get all our podcasts as well. You can get all the different shows that we do. So a lot going on at LandryFootball.com. We, as always, invite you to get that. Some news and notes around the Big Ten today that I want to get to. And I lost my little notes here that I took place that I jotted down here on my computer to get to you with the news and notes. I want to get the details out as to what we're talking about, but some issues at Rutgers that we wanted to address. Redshirt freshman corner Max Melton was taken into police custody on a paintball gun incident. He's been suspended from the team. Something that happened Monday night. As a younger brother, if you remember, of Bo Melton, is a pretty good player. So a mess there. What's going on there? The latest news, let's see. Doug Cramer, the fine center from Illinois, is healthy. He missed the Maryland game, but he is expected to be back. We're going to get some details about some of the Nebraska quarterback commitment. Richard Torres suffered a season-ending injury. So that's some recruiting information we wanted to pass along. And Purdue redshirt sophomore Mershawn Rice with a foot out indefinitely against Notre Dame and beyond probably. It looks like the running back Xander Horvath with the leg injury is going to miss 3 to 7 weeks as well. So it looks like Michael Penix with his hand has been given a clean bill of health or whatever that means. So we're the latest news and notes there. Let's get into it, as we always like to do. No particular order. We like to run through them, and we'll get a little bit quick with maybe some of the games that were not as meaningful. But a couple of notes there. In the Maryland-Illinois game, I thought Maryland did a good job rallying down the stretch. Now, this is a game that I think, would have lost in previous years. Wasn't a real clean performance. Wasn't really good. I thought that the defense stood on its head, the entire game. I thought Talia did a really good job in crunch time. It's a huge win for this team. And I know Illinois is not very good. And they've really looked bad, making that Nebraska loss to them even worse. But this is a game that I thought Maryland at least played well in the clutch. You see some of the skill position in Maryland. Still don't think they are a come together team. Certainly, again in the big moments they did, and I thought again the defense stood tall. Still don't like the way they play in terms of a clean game, but really impressed that they were able to win it because, again, as I watched it, I thought this is a game they're going to blow. Quarterback play was not real good. It's an issue. They've got to get get that position healthy. I thought the running backs, Josh McCray, did a really good job. I thought the receivers really struggled, didn't really help out the quarterback play. Neither did the tight ends. Didn't think the defensive line graded very well. Thought the offensive line graded very well. Defensive line was pretty solid, and the linebackers pretty good. Secondary, not so much. In terms of Michigan, Northern Illinois, I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing with Michigan. You can't make too much out of it in terms of, they should be ranked here or there. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. Big picture, I see a lot of good teams. I don't see a lot of great nationally. I mentioned that on the Scout's Eye on college football yesterday. But this Michigan team is playing well. It's an offensive performance that in past years we've not seen from this team. Balanced, explosive even. I thought McNamara was sharp. Corum, Henning looked explosive. Haskins, Johnson continue to make plays. I think defensively, the defense, they struggled early. They had some missed tackles, struggled to get off blocks, some bad run fits between the tackles. But, I thought they came along and got a little bit better. Got a little bit better as the game went along. Hawkins and Hill and Ross and Hill Green were guys that stood out. But it was consistency and just allowing 2 drives of 25 yards or more out of 11. Very, very impressive. So it was, I think, an overall solid performance by Michigan. And I'm very curious, as they got Rutgers this week, do they continue and can they – this is a team now in the past that Michigan has struggled with. Do they take care of business here and maybe win in an impressive fashion like they have? Or is it going to be more of an issue going forward? Because they've got Wisconsin coming up next week. I believe it's next week. Yes, it is. So we're going to start to learn more about this Michigan team, as we all do as the season progresses. Nebraska against Oklahoma. You got to give a lot of credit for Nebraska. Playing better on defense, did a good job with their too high shell look for, I thought, frustrating Oklahoma's offense. I thought it was a really good job there. But my goodness, what an awful special teams performance. They tried to run the football. Give them credit. It was a struggle against this Oklahoma defense. Ramir Johnson, Gabe Ervin, wasn't real effective. Not good enough to win inside the Big Ten. If they're going to have to run the football better, which I think they are, it's going to be an issue. I thought the run game was poor. I thought the pass game was a little bit better. Thought they would have able to make some plays in the passing game. Martinez played better. I thought the offensive line struggled, allowed too much pressure, penalized for too many yards, and that's going to be an issue as you get into further league play. On defense, as I mentioned, the defense has been built on their ability to control and stop the run. They got hit for their worst game of the year in that regard. They were gutted. Now, Oklahoma stayed committed to the run, which they should and needed to do against that too high look. So remember, they're not playing a safety in the box. They couldn't get enough done either being disruptive in attacking upfield and trying to bubble the run or, being able to hold the line of scrimmage. They could do neither very well. Pass defense, they did a pretty good job because of what they play, how they played it. They didn't have a consistent pass rush from Steele or Robinson. They couldn't win against that offensive line. The blitzes couldn't get home, but I thought they did a really good job in coverage with their two high looks, making them play well underneath. But I think the story of the game is the special teams. How bad it's looked for Nebraska, how consistently it's been bad. Look, Connor Cup hit a big field goal. Priestup had a nice punt. Frank was getting touchbacks. There were no real errors on returns, but they missed 2 field goals. A lineman on the field goal unit got trucked, and Oklahoma blocked and returned an extra point for a touchdown. Bad coverage killed Nebraska on the following kickoff, and then they had a poor decision on its own return, losing field position. It killed them. It basically, they had a legitimate chance to win this football game if they just don't self-destruct on special teams. Not a good performance, just a non-self-destructive performance, and they couldn't do it. Michigan State got it done against Miami. Peyton Thorne, and I may have a game ball for Mr. Thorne. We'll see that a little bit. Passed for 261 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2 of those scoring throws going to Jalen Naylor. Their unbeaten start. Miami's overrated. I get that. You play who you play. Okay, Kenneth Walker is a beast. Is there maybe a game ball for him too? I don't know. We may just ship him out several because at this point he might be player of the year in the Big Ten offensively. I thought the quarterback play was good. Thorne's performance got better and better. Shaky start, but boy, did he play well. I thought he could have done a little bit better against some of Miami's pressures, but boy, I thought he was really good. Really good, steady performance, turnover free, risk averse, yes, but boy, good decisions. That's what you want. Running back play. Kenneth Walker is the real deal. I mean, we talked about yesterday in the National College Show that this is a team that brought back some guys that were looking to make a statement, that come back in a COVID year, and then you get a transfer. Man, how good. Wake is playing pretty well, but man, not having this guy. Now, look, I'm curious to see how well he does against better fronts, teams that defend better than Michigan State has to this point. But this is a good out-of-conference game, better than playing a MAC team. I think those things are – he's a special player, and I think we're going to see this. Reminder again, you got any questions on Michigan State? Anybody? I see Tony, good friend of the show, has joined us, and we're going to talk about his Ohio State question and any questions you might have, any thoughts you might have in the mailbag section a little bit later. Receivers. I thought Naylor and Reed, both finding the end zone multiple times. It's probably going to be a good day for the passing game if those guys are able to get open, and they did. Reed caught only 3 passes, but big-time plays. Hit 32 yards in them. Mosley had a good game as well. I don't think that all the success can be – in fact, very little of the success could go to the offensive line play. I think there's stretches where through 3 games their signs are getting better. But Miami had 3 sacks. Now, I do think that some of it was a little bit on the quarterback and holding the ball, but there are protection breakdowns there. So all things considered, we'll see where this goes going forward here. On the defensive line, the return of the Drews were a big deal. Drew Beasley, Duke transfer, Drew Jordan, all played well. But it was Beasley who really stood out after missing last week's game against Youngstown State. The highlight, of course, came in the fourth quarter. Beasley stripped King, and Pozuznik scooped it up. The linebackers did a really nice job. Quadarius Crouch did a really good job on King, and Halliday is no slouch either. He's played really well. The secondary, not so much. I thought that Miami would challenge the secondary, and I think you can. I don't know how many teams are going to be able to exploit it, but Miami receivers were running free. I didn't think they pattern matched very well. The tackling was not very good on the perimeter. They played a lot of cover three, which means the corners are generally bailing out of to cover the deep third. So the second level defender is responsible for covering the flat. So there's a natural weakness in that coverage, but what they're doing and how they're doing it hasn't been real impressive. I thought the special teams were pretty average as well. Indiana, I thought they would get beat by Cincinnati. Cincinnati, though, Indiana had their chances. Cincinnati did not play well. I thought they were very sluggish, made tons of mistakes. Look, Cincinnati did, uninspired even. Hard to explain that, but they just didn't play a clean game. I thought, though, as the game went along, you could see Cincinnati's advantages that they had be exuded. Desmond Ridder got the go-ahead touchdown early in the fourth quarter, and I thought they played pretty well. The Indiana passing game, Hendershot, DJ Matthews were impressive. I thought they made some plays there that gave them a chance. The bad, Michael Penix is really struggling. In 2 games against legitimate competition, he's not done a very good job. 44% passer, 380 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's flashy athletically, but people are going to make him beat him with the passing game, and he can't do it consistently. Not against good defenses, and I think Cincinnati's got some talent that can match up on the back end. The running game, for a quarter, the rushing attack was producing at a level that they've been looking for. The offensive line was getting pushed and opening holes, and Stephen Carr were taking advantage of it. Over the final 3 quarters, they rushed for 76 yards on 24 carries, but they had a critical fumble late in the fourth quarter when the offense had to drive the ball down to Cincinnati's 2-yard line and on the verge of retaking the league. So the lack of playing time in the fourth quarter was a little bit interesting. Now he got banged up, and that's saying why he didn't play. Incorporating DJ Matthews made a difference. He carried it a couple of times, but just there's going to be so much dependent on the running game going forward and incorporating a quarterback in the run game if they're going to have success in the conference at all this year. Thought it was a solid day for the pass defense against a Cincinnati attack that, again, didn't look all that good, particularly to start. And let's give Indiana some credit for that. He only completed 56% of his passes. I thought the defensive line did a pretty good job early on. Thought they did a good job with their pressures. For the first half, the running attack wasn't really good against the run defense. Thought they did a good job there. I thought the Cincinnati run game got more productive after that, but I think the big thing that impacted Indiana's ability to slow down the rushing attack was the ejection of Micah McFadden late in the second quarter. Was called for targeting. So that was a big issue. The former Ryder Anderson was able to put pressure on the quarterback. Special teams, it wasn't the best day for Indiana. Biggest mistake, a 99-yard kickoff return. That happens. It's going to be tough to win. A disappointing performance for Indiana. I thought Cincinnati was better. But as this game unfolded and I watched it, Cincinnati didn't play all that well. And they could have been had. And Indiana just didn't have it in them to be able to take it over. Tell you who did have it in them was Minnesota against Colorado. Trey Potts ran for 3 touchdowns. The swarming defense held Colorado to just 63 yards. And the Gophers won their 21st straight non-conference game. 30-0 was the win. Very impressive. And remember, this is a Colorado team that had A&M on the ropes. Now, got to be careful with the comparative games because everything's situation. Every week is situation is different. But that's a good performance by Minnesota any way you look at it. The defense was dominant against Colorado's offense. They were consistent, steady. I thought Joe Rossi had a really good game plan, and they really, really tore Colorado apart. They shut down Colorado's offense. That's not a really good offense, but they dominated them. The linebackers, Jack Gibbons and Marino Sorimarin, both continue to play really well for them. The secondary kept things in front of them very well. I thought they moved the football well up front on the offensive line. Really good performance. 277 yards, did a really, really good job. So congrats there. They've got, the running back situation with Potts is impressive. It shows that they have got depth and that they can work the running game even without their best running back. So it wasn't a good performance by special teams. It was the only negative there. But you could see a really good performance and a good effort there. I thought it was a fine job by the Gophers of P.J. Fleck. Purdue played in South Bend for the first time since 2012. They pulled within 4 points. I thought it was a better performance by Notre Dame. For Purdue, the offensive line was a concern I had going into the season for Purdue. They're still an issue. No doubt they miss Xander Horvath. But they're not getting good movement, and it's pass protection. I get that, but they've got to have balance, and I just don't think they're playing well offensively. Didn't this past week in the run game. The pass offense, stats look pretty good. Plummer and O'Connell did a pretty nice job. But the average is 5.1 yards a carry. So Notre Dame did a better job limiting the explosive plays. I talked about Marcus Freeman, how over time I think we'll get that defense to play a little bit more sound and giving up big plays, and I thought that was evident today. David Bell had a spectacular play, tough injury look there. Overall, no explosion for the Purdue offense here. And if they're not exploding on offense, they're going to have a hard time. The offense floundered in the first half and never got a whole lot better. Defensively, I thought the front seven played pretty well for the most part. They controlled things pretty well. They had one bust play that gave up a big yard. I thought the yardage. Safety Cam Allen really did a good job tackling. The pass defense was a solid effort. Jack Cohen didn't have a great game. Holding him to 48% completion percentage is something. They had 4 sacks entering the game. With just one, they had 4 sacks. Very, very impressive. I thought the defense played well enough to win. They were in it at halftime, but it was the offense that couldn't step up. Defense, the special teams didn't play well, but it was the offense that let them down. So kudos to Notre Dame's defensive effort in this one. As you thought they might, Iowa took care of business against Kent State. Tyler Goodson ran wild, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns. This team is what it is, boy. One of the things I'm looking at for Iowa, because I know what I'm going to get with their defense. I know what I'm going to get with their run game. But I'm curious to see how the pass game develops, even in games like this. Spencer Petras finished with 25 of 36 for 209 yards, 1 touchdown, connect with Tyron Tacey. They're not going to open it up. That's not what they do. That's not what they're good at. They didn't need to do it here, and they still dominated. Pass defense wasn't as sharp. They didn't. They weren't really threatening this game. This is an Iowa team. This is what you can count on. It can run the football. They play really good defense, and they're good on special teams. They're very well coached. The level of opponent, the intensity level, the ability to attack people in the passing game, I think all those things are question marks as it relates to the high level. Now, competing in the Big Ten West, I think they can. Ohio State at Tulsa. Ohio, good. The good. Trevion Henderson. He's a special back. I think you can see him more and more of the guy that they're going to lean to. Let's talk about the offense for a second. We'll get to the defense. And this may answer Tony's question somehow, but if not, we'll get to it in the mailbag section. But the offense is not playing like they need to as well. That offensive line, which is very talented, is not playing, and I think the most physically gifted in the country, is not playing like it. I mean, they're playing soft. They're not getting push. Trevion Henderson had some run creases, and he went to the house, and he had 277 yards on 24 carries, 3 touchdowns, sprints of 48 and 52 yards. Outstanding. But they're still not controlling the line of scrimmage there. And that's important. They're going to have to get better. I believe that they can. My concern is defensively. Now, Matt Barnes is called the defensive signals. Move from the box to the field. Now, where is this going? Is it going to be a collaborative effort? It's going to be trial and error. This is tough to go to. Is he just signaling in the plays? I think it's a collaborative effort, but Kerry Combs moved into the box maybe to get a better view and then send down the signal. So I still think this is more Kerry Combs, and Barnes moved to the field, and it was given the signals. Now, Paul Rhodes, a very skilled defensive coach, defensive coordinator, moved from the box to the field. And I think that Rhodes is having a much more involved role. I do think that Barnes is having more of a say-so here. So they're looking at everything. This is a major problem. They're still winning games. They still likely could win out in the conference. We'll see. But it is not a fait accompli that they are clearly the head and shoulders best team in the Big Ten. They look very vulnerable. And they're in danger of what I think is a playoff caliber team of working their way out of it with their play in the league. The defense showed a lack of aggressiveness to begin with. They gave a lot of cushion to the receivers. But then they got a little bit better. And then the third quarter came, and then they allowed a touchdown, and they really had some lapses again with poor tackling. Not doing a good job staying on top of routes. Just, poor run fits. They are playing better in defense in spurts, but not overall. It was about the offense. It was about the explosive plays, and they just kind of hung in there. Stroud can still be shaky. I think he is holding the ball a little too long. I think they've got to work him outside the pocket, give him some half-field reads more, get him more comfortable. Because this doesn't look like a team that's going to kill you with their offense, and they sure in heck are not playing good enough defense at this point to scare you. Denzel Burke is a stud. They've got some good talent here. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun to see how this develops. Rutgers took care of business against Delaware. We had the news about Max Melton to start the show. Thought Vidral continues to impress and play well. Krushenk is playing well. I think Julius Turner's playing well at nose tackle. I'm curious to see what they do against Michigan. I don't expect them to win because I think Michigan's playing better. But let's see how well they do going forward and how well they compete. This will be another statement game. Northwestern's making a statement. It's not a good one. Man, Duke handled them. I mean, it was 30-23, but they really outplayed them. It looked really bad. It was 27-0. So it was kind of 30-23 sounds like it was a lot better. Duke's receivers ran free on the secondary. The offense turned the football over 4 times, Northwestern. So the clean, playing Northwestern that does all the little things well. They ain't doing any of the things well, good or big. They did come out in the second half and make it a game. Let's look at the positives. So, making adjustments, getting teams headed in the right direction after 4 performance. Positive there. I do think Andrew Marty did a good job leading the team. And they look a little bit better with him. Maybe they found something. We'll see. But Johnson hasn't played well. And you will see why some of those guys transfer, because while they're recruited highly and they're physically gifted, the intangibles are not there. And if you don't have the intangibles on a team that relies on intangibles, that's very difficult. But the turnovers are killer. You can't have a chance at Northwestern if you turn it over and you're having penalties. Penn State got it done against Auburn. And it was a tough performance, and know about all the officiating, and no reason to get into that again. I went over it in detail. But, they played a fairly clean game. It was a good opponent, not a great Auburn team, but a good team. I thought the offense did a really good job. I thought Sean Clifford was a difference. I thought he played better than Auburn's quarterback, Bo Nix. But Auburn was selling out to stop the run, and I thought they prevented some of the deep shots. So they forced Clifford's patience. Take advantage in your short game, and I thought he was very effective. 28 of 32 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. He found 6 different receivers, rushed for 24 yards. He did things. Bo Nix didn't lose the game for Auburn, but he didn't do anything to win the game for Auburn, and Sean Clifford did. I thought he was really good. The offense was very sound against a pretty good Auburn defense. And that was their undoing. For Penn State's defense, I thought Brent Pry's job, they bend but don't break. Auburn compiled 24 first downs, nearly 400 yards of offense, but it held them to just 20 points. It was an offense that scored a total of 122 points through its first 2 games against bad competition. It was not able to get it done. I thought Brandon Smith was outstanding. He led them on the defense. Again, you got the full breakdowns over at Landry Football. I thought they were sound in the kicking game. Jordan Stout was really good. Really good performance. A lot of credit. I've often am hard on James Franklin because I don't think he's a great X's and O guy. He's a facilitator. He's gotten 2 coordinators and a staff that's getting it done thus far. It's a good team. I don't think Penn State's a great team. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're going to go unbeaten in the Big Ten or anything like that, or they would be a playoff team. But these 2 teams are playing pretty well, and I think they play with a little bit of a swagger, especially on defense, and especially in the red zone. Really, really good jobs there. How would I rank them right now in the Big Ten? First of all, some game balls. I wrote them down so I didn't forget. Let me make sure I got it here. Travion Henderson, I mentioned, is one. Peyton Thorne gets a game ball, quarterback at Michigan State. Mentioned Brandon Smith. I thought he was the defensive player of the week. I thought Krushenk of Rutgers did a good job. I mentioned him. I think Petrino, the kicker from Maryland, had a really good game. So those are some of what I would classify as game ball guys this week. How would I rank them? It's interesting. I think that Penn State and Iowa are most impressive with how they're playing. I still think Iowa State's the most talented. Wisconsin. Listen, I see and have watched every snap of Michigan play on film. I see what they're doing. I'm really excited about Michigan, Wisconsin next week. But I am curious to see how they play against Rutgers this week. Like what Michigan State's doing. So listen, you can make a case that Michigan State's playing like one of the 3 best teams in this league right now with Penn State and Iowa. Michigan as well. How good are they? I think I think that's the key. I still don't see anybody in this conference that looks like a national playoff team. Ohio State looks like it coming off the bus. They don't look like it when you click on the film. I don't think Penn State, I don't think Michigan, I don't think Wisconsin, I don't think Michigan State, I don't think Iowa are national playoff teams, meaning I don't think they're going to go through the conference unbeaten. I think there's a lot of good. I think they're going to be 2, 3 or more 2-loss teams that are really good. But unless Ohio State figures it out, I don't know. Now, I can say that about the ACC too, and I can't give you 4 playoff teams right now. They're not 4 teams that are grading at that level right now. So it doesn't mean I'm eliminating the Big Ten from the playoff spot or eliminating any of these teams. You got to have 4, right? And so that's kind of how I see it right now on how they're looking. This week's schedule. Let's take a look. Well, first of all, just overall, Notre Dame, Wisconsin leads the way nationally. In that first window, I'm most interested in that game. In the second window is Arkansas A&M nationally. Inside the league, Rutgers and Michigan would be the most interest in that second wave of games. In the third wave, Nebraska, Michigan State is really intriguing to me inside the league. And then obviously you rarely have a Big Ten game unless they're out west in the third window. So we've got Illinois at Purdue in a game in which is got to get right game for Illinois. Indiana goes to Western Kentucky, so they've got to get back on track here. Iowa's got a Colorado State team that, look, they'll handle that. Maryland gets Kent State. We mentioned Michigan, Rutgers. We mentioned Michigan State, Nebraska. That's intriguing. Minnesota's got Bowling Green. Can't have a letdown there. Northwestern Ohio. Ohio State's got Akron. Penn State, Villanova. We mentioned Purdue, Illinois. We mentioned Rutgers, Michigan, and Wisconsin, Notre Dame. So that's your look at this week's schedule. And again, the most interesting games are, in my view, I think Nebraska, Michigan State is really good. I think Michigan, Rutgers has some intrigue. And I definitely am looking forward to Wisconsin against Notre Dame. So that's the way we go with it. Let's go to the mailbag segment as we invite you always to join us. And Tony says, what do you make of Ryan Day saying he's going to totally revamp the defense? I think he's hearing and feeling the heat. He's not happy with the way his defense is playing. He's already revamping how he's doing things. Now, how much it can change, listen, it's not about changing your scheme. You can't change scheme. What is got to change is how you play it. You know, it's how you play in many cases. You know, you've got to be a little bit smart about what you do and what you call. But if you call the right thing and don't play it well, you're not getting it done, and you're not getting it. It's not going to work. Special team in the Desert OC. Good to have you, my man. Special teams are horrific at Nebraska. Specifically, what do you do with the place kicker? Well, the place kicker is only part of it. It's the breakdowns in protection. The place kicker, you can have a couple of those guys, but, maybe a younger person. But if the timing is off on the snap, the protection's not real good. I mean, I think there are more issues. The place kicker's a part of it. I mean, you're right. You miss 2 kicks. You get 1 block. I mean, you got to look at it. It is the overall operation time on the block. That was a little bit of a protection issues, but you got the kicker that's not real confident. And so it comes off a little low and protection is not good. Boom, you got a block. Then you got the return. That's extra problems. There's not a whole lot you can do. You got to instill confidence in your kicker. If you don't have one behind him, you're in trouble. And you got to kind of move forward on why there's a systemic and a consistency. They're not very well coached on special teams. They don't progress the ball very well, so they got bigger issues there. Culp was all Big Ten last year, and it tells you right there that the confidence level in both the kicker and punters with their protection is the biggest problem. What do you think about Oklahoma's offense? But is it Black Hollywood? Appreciate you, man. Glad to have you with us. I want to remind you, too, to check us out, the Big 12 Football and Beyond tomorrow at 1 o'clock, because we'll be here for that. And he asked about Oklahoma's offense. Oklahoma's offense is slow starting, yes. They've slow started before. What teams are doing to them are playing a lot of too high safeties. So they're preventing the big plays, and they're forcing them to be patient. So you don't have the explosive plays, and it's kind of affecting their rhythm, and it's frustrating them. I think they'll be fine. They need to be patient with running the football, like they were against Nebraska last week. Run people out of the too high safeties, and then you can attack them. Be patient there. I think that's the key. Jake Demler, man, I love all of the regulars, but I love having some new guys in here. Jake Demler, appreciate you joining us. Hey, no, Black Hollywood, do not apologize about asking an Oklahoma question in Big Ten. It's Big Ten football and beyond, my friend. So you bring it, man. You bring anything you want, anytime, even NFL, whatever. You are. Please don't apologize, man. We love having you, and we appreciate you. So bring it everything you want. Now, I'm just saying that if you want to get the complete breakdown of everybody in the Big 12, that's on that show too. But no, please don't apologize. We are honored to have you here. Jake Demler says, do you think Sean Clifford looks like an overall improved passer, or is he simply taking much better care of the football? The latter. He's taking care of the football. They're doing a good job being patient. They're doing I think Mike Yurcich is doing a really good job of stressing, take the check down, be patient. That's what's happening. And but that's one and the same, right? I mean, that's what the issue is. Any ideas as to why Wisconsin has been so tentative stretching the field? Mertz has thrown only 4 passes this season and have traveled more than 20 yards in the air. I understand what butters our bread, but come on. No, I get you. You think they'd do that a little bit more in some of these games in which you can work on it. Look, I don't think they believe in it a whole lot. I think there's maybe they feel some limitations with Mertz in terms of getting it deep. I think those two are fair concerns. Look, the reason why they lost, they lost to Penn State. You could go on a few things. But as you know, the big difference is Penn State was able to make some plays in the passing game that Wisconsin was not able to make. And so their chances of winning in the Big Ten, because they're going up against in the Big Ten, they're up against their competitors going to be Iowa, who can perform better in the passing game. I can't wait for that. I think there's legitimate concern there. I'm a little concerned with Mertz's instincts at this point. It's a big part of their pass game concept. I don't think that's what they do real well. I don't think that they really scheme open. I think, to me, with all the loaded fronts that they see, that I would really try to work that. I'd really try to work play action a little more. The problem with play action is the quarterback turns his back to the defense, and I don't know. I think that you can design some zone beaters and man beaters on the outside and deep. They don't do that very well. That's what I see. So those are some thoughts. So, man, I think and tell me how to pronounce that. Is it Blanche Hollywood, Black Hollywood? I'm not sure. I like to pronounce it. I love some of the names, and I fear that I'm butchering it as I do. But really appreciate you and Jake and In the Desert and our man Tony. We got some really good questions in here today. Remind you that top of the hour, we're going to have ACC football and beyond. Do the basic same thing, but go over that league in which obviously things are struggling there, and Clemson is certainly struggling, maybe even more so than even Ohio State at this point. A reminder to get all the detailed film room breakdowns at LandryFootball.com. The Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac 12, the ACC, the SEC, the Group of Five, the NFL, we got it all for you. All the previews, which we're going to be starting tomorrow and Thursday and Friday of upcoming. We break down in the early part of the week the news and notes in our notebook session. So we've got that all for you. Check out all of our podcasts, everything that we do. We really appreciate it. All right, good. I got the word. You can just call Blake Me Hollywood. It's on an old album I used to listen to. Love it, Hollywood. I got that. So signed up yesterday to your website. Great. Appreciate you spreading the word. And I appreciate all of you out there. So spread the word to your friends about what we're doing here. All the conference shows, everything, the National College Football Show, Scouts Eye on College Football. A reminder, ACC football to be on top of the hour at 4 p.m. Central today, Scouts Eye on Pro Football. So we'll be breaking down all the teams, all the games over there as well. So appreciate you joining us. Talk to you in a little bit. Top of the hour with the ACC football. So long, everybody.